Welcome to the channel. Today what I'm going to work on doing is I'm going to try and add to my queen rearing video. So the first one I put out there, I ordered a bunch of equipment. I showed you all the equipment and stuff like that that came in. But I want to try grafting. So I don't graft a whole bunch, but I saw all these grafting tables that would hold this frame while you graft it out and put it into your cups. So I think a lot of those are the big commercial beekeepers, but I thought it was neat. I have some time on my hands, so I'm going to try and build one. Once again, I have no plans. This is going to be straight from the hip, so bear with me. Might be cutting lots of in and out of this video as we try to figure out how to do this, but all in all, let's see if we can't build a grafting table. So what I had is a piece of pine here left over. So this is looks like it's a 1x12. And I just grabbed a new frame just so I can make some measurements and stuff. So I want it to hold the frame. So the 1x12 I think is about the right size. Once again, there's lots of different types out there. Couldn't find any plans or anything for one, so that's why I'm doing this. So I think it was Trev's Bees. He had a really good one, so I'm going to try and steal a little bit of the ideas from him on that one. And I think there was a couple other ones out there. Anyways, I was thinking have a board, a couple dowel in here. As I was thinking about this last night, I thought, well, I could build it up so that it would hold it on both sides, but not all the frames are the exact same dimension, so a little bit of play there is probably a good thing. So I think I will put it here. We'll put a couple dowel in there to hold the frame, so when it sits up on an angle like this, it shouldn't fall away. But all right, let's start that. So my frame here is 19 inches long. Let's give it a little bit on both sides. So let's start by cutting a piece about 20 inches long. Now we got a piece about 20 inches long. We're going to have to build a stand for it to hold it. And I'm going to want something to put this on a little bit of an angle. Maybe I'm better off to have it swivel. So we're going to need, I have this piece of scrap. I'm kind of thinking if I built a piece to go on the back of this now, I could drill a hole through that and that would give me a swivel table. Let's see what I got for scraps. This might be about the right size. This is 2.5 inches. And we're gonna need them, so even though it says it's a 1x12, it's actually 11.25 inches. So let's see what we can find. Now, we got a couple pieces 11.25. Question is how deep do we want it to come down? Last one was 2.5. I think 2.5 inches will be lots. Let's start with 2.5. Once again, no plans. So there's a lot of trial and error. Got to get it out of my head onto the wood. I think that'll work all right. I think what we'll do is we'll make these on a nice angle, kind of round it off a little bit. Put those on there, put a couple of 1/4-inch bolts through, these T-handles, round all that off the center. That should turn out all right. Now the question is do I miter that into the end? Now we've got to build a base. Okay, well, like all great builds without a plan, I've got just about every piece of scrap pine I have in the shop on the table saw here. And I think I've been working on this now for about half an hour, and I think I'm on version 6. So here's what I decided to change. Originally, I had a piece of pine for the board to sit on, but I noticed the pine had a bit of a warp in it. So I had a scrap piece of this really nice 3/4 inch pine plywood. It's going to stay nice and straight. So you saw me cut these pieces out. So I'm going to use the plywood to put the frame on instead of the 1x12, which will always keep this nice and flat. And the other thing I've decided to do is cut out. I got a real mess going on here. Instead of making one, I had an idea. I'm going to make two. And I'm going to send one of these to off to somebody here that's helped me out so far. So let's carry on and see how many more versions we're going to have before we get to the end. Always exciting. All right. We'll just set one off to the side here for now. So the other thing I was going to do is these pieces here we're going to have go on the end. I'm going to have this piece go right down on the bottom here. And that will help hold the hive. So it's going to sit right about like so. And I don't think it needs to be quite that thick. So I think I will rip this down just a little bit. That's going to make it just about right. Perfect. Okay, we'll set these off to the side. Now we'll figure the stand out. Now to figure the base out. I have some leftover pine pieces there that are, well, there. We'll probably rip them all down to about 2 inches. I think that'd be pretty close. And if we're going to have a vertical piece coming up right on the inside here, we want this piece to rotate, and we don't want it to hit the bottom, so we do want it to be able to go straight up and down. So my center mark, all these very precise measurements, are about 8 3/4. Let's make them about 9 inches. Cut 4 pieces at 9 inches. Let's see how that's going to work. Grab one with my center line on it here. I think by the time we cover that, that's going to be pretty darn close. I think what I'll do is I'll round these off. I'll dig out the jigsaw. We'll round all those off nice. Being as that's going to be the top of which it's going to spin on. So that way that'll look really good. Right. So we're going to have a piece to hold our bar in the front. And then we're going to have our base here. So that's going to sit somewhere around like that. And we want our leg to extend out behind it by a little bit. So if we make, well, let's shoot for even 12 inches. Told you, we're winging it. 4 base legs. That's going to be pretty good and sturdy. We've got our pieces that go up front. Guess I need one to come up the front to hold our bar as well. All right, I was just about to make those cuts and I'm thinking to myself, I'm starting to get a lot of pieces. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to trim some of these up. I'm going to taper them a little bit. I'll get them all sanded up. I'll put the tops together. I'll start putting together what I have and then I'll cut the pieces to fit from there. And that way I don't end up wasting a whole bunch of lumber. So I'm going to go trim these up. Then I'll dig out the sander, we'll get them all sanded up and we'll start getting the pieces that we currently have together. We'll put those together. I think that's a good idea. sometimes you just have to dig out the big guns. Before we put these together, I purchased some 1/4 inch hardware, and what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to drill some holes through these so that basically our top pieces can sit on here and swivel. So as I was sanding, you probably noticed I marked everything 1 and everything on this side is 2. So they're all matched, they're all sanded up to match the same, so it'll just fit up really, really good. So we got to drill some holes, and the hardware I got is just 1/4 inch, so some 1/4 inch carriage bolts, stove bolts I think they call them too, and some nice T-handles so that we can snug that in good and tight. I think what I'm going to do is divide them in half. So we're 10 3/4, that's 5 3/8. And I'm going to offset a hole, I think by about 1.5 inches. And this is 3/4 of an inch, so I'll mark 3/4 of an inch in from the end, because that's going to be unusable, which is going to leave us with 1 3/4. So I'll come up 7/8 of an inch. 7/8 of an inch. That way we have the option, we can offset our hole drill a little bit if we want. So let's head over to the drill press. Let's drill these 1/4 inch holes. I think what I will do is clamp these together. Figured I'd drill the holes in our uprights at the same time. There we go. All right, let's see how those fit. So we have our boards. Bolt will go through into those. That should work out all right. Well, we'll have to put one together at a time. I only have 2 clamps, so let's start with this one. Exactly the same with the top. Now this piece only goes one way, because I ripped it to be the exact width of the plywood. This way. We're going to clamp that up. Then we're going to let this dry for about 10 minutes. Then our end pieces are going to go on here. I'm just going to knock some of the edges off of those, I think. let's put our end pieces on. Now they actually have a top and a bottom, and as they're a match set, we want to make sure that they're the right way. So here we go. And once again, it just goes on the exact same way. And to the bottom. We're going to put the other side on and then we'll clamp them together. And we'll make sure that we've got it going the right way. There we go. One. This is going to work out quite well. I guess I should have maybe rounded those corners, but it'll work. All right, let's give that 10 minutes and then we'll come back and we'll do the other one. Well, I went ahead, took all the clamps off. I built the second one here now. Ran them really quickly, just over the sander really quickly, and then cleaned up our stands and our legs a little bit as well. So the next thing I want to make, before I get all this put right together, is now I think I want to make the little bracket on the front that's going to hold the grafting frame itself. So when we graft the larva out, we'll have that frame right there to put it in. So where did I put my tape measure? Let's make that up the same size. So we're going to be looking at about 19¼ inches for that frame. So let me go cut those pieces. I'll be right back. I'm going to edit it so you don't see it. That took me a little bit because about 3 times before I figured out exactly what I wanted to do there. So I don't know what version we're on now. I think this is version 5 or 6, and I think this is version 4. So I guess that happens when you don't have prints to go by. So once again, rather than making the bottom out of actually 1x material, pine material, I opted to go with plywood for that as well. And the reason I opted to go with a nice 3/4 inch pine plywood, finished both sides, is it's not going to warp or anything either. Now I did take some 1x material and I ripped down these pieces that I'm going to put on each side. So the idea behind that is, I don't know if you can see that, is my frame or my grafting frame hopefully will sit right down in there. Let me grab one and I'll show you what I was thinking. So this is just from the frames, but if I take plywood both sides, I want something that the grafting frame is going to sit in there and not move around a whole bunch on. So this is kind of what I came up with. So I will go ahead and put these together. And I think what I'll do on the end, so these are the same length as the inside board. So before I put these together, I'm just going to go make a piece to go on the end. And that way we can kind of glue and nail them all together all at the same time. Hopefully this one doesn't take me 4 or 5 versions. All right, version 1. I also just drilled a hole in them. So now this is going to fit right on the end. So that is going to make a nice, where did I put it? That's going to make a nice piece for it to sit in. It can't go out one way or the other. All right, let's, 2 here, 2 here. Let's glue and nail these together. All right, I'm just lining these up so that it's even on the bottom and both ends. I cut them all on the table saw at the same time, so they should be exactly the same length. I just want to get them started here, and then I can clamp them all together. Now we're going to do the other side. all I'm doing is because this board on the side is so thin and so small, I'm able to manipulate it up or down or back and forth as required to make sure that it all lines up properly. All right, now I'm just going to clamp this and we'll let these dry. I'm going to use lots of clamps on this. It's one thing I did find with wood. Now, I'm not a carpenter, so if this is a fact or not, please don't beat me up too much. But I have found a little bit of compression with wood sure seems to go a whole long ways. I'll set this one over here to dry. We'll let those dry. I'm going to sand these end blocks up. By then, I'll come back. It should be ready to put them on the end. Looking good. Now we're just going to take a couple of these ends and we're going to put them on there. I hope I drilled that hole in the right spot. I think I'll be all right. Now I know it's going to go on nice and flush and square on the end here. So. All right, we're just going to do the same to the other one now. There we go. We'll clamp those up and let them dry. Okay, day 3 version, who knows? Let's see, I think I'm on version 6 of the other base. I think this is version 4 for these. So that's part of the fun, I guess, of not having plans. It just kind of got something up here, and you have to get it down actually into the wood. So all completed here now. I don't know if you can see that. So I've got the ends and everything. I did hit them with the sander really quickly. They're actually turning out way better than I thought. And for the bee equipment, I normally don't fill any of my brad nail holes, but this is turning out actually so nice that I think I'm going to fill these holes. Now we have to figure out how to put it all together. So what I need now is I need to make something to hold this in the front. I'm going to go cut a couple pieces the same width as this. I think I'll put a couple holes in them to go on the front to hold this board. Let me do that. Well, that took a little bit longer because what I did is not only did I cut the blocks, but I figured I put a slot in them so that this should be able to move up or down on the slot. I didn't have my router table set up, so they're not perfect, but I think they'll be close enough. So they need to go on the outside in order for this to work properly, which means these legs will have to go on the outside as well. Then this will all come on the inside. I'm just going to grab a couple bolts and let's see if we can't put some of this together to see how it's going to stand up. Once again, I try to support local, so I did go around all the hardware stores in Beaver Lodge, Grand Prairie, to see if I could find some of these, but I couldn't. So, good old Amazon. All right, I'm going to try and stand this up so you can see what I'm working on here. It's looking like a grafting table. Now our frame, or frames, we'll be able to sit on there, and we will be able to adjust it, whatever slope we want, and we'll be able to adjust the height and or the angle of our grafting frame. What do you think? Is that a little too close. Does that grafting frame have to go back just a little bit? I'm thinking my bottom legs might be just a tad bit too short. I've never grafted, so I don't know. Meeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm thinking I should have made them 14 inches. You know what? I'm going to do it now rather than be wishing I did it later. So I'm going to make these bottom legs 2 inches longer. Here we go. Just a little bit longer. So you can see the old ones and the new ones. So I made them exactly 2 inches longer. So they're now 14 inches instead of 12. Now all we got to do is put it all together. Let's grab both sets. We'll mark them out. Now, we came to the conclusion that these pieces were all going to go on the outside. And I'm going to nail them from the inside out, so that way when I cover up my nails, it's not going to be seen. All right, let's glue and nail them together. I think we're pretty much done. I was thinking about a cross brace in between them, but at least this way, if we wanted to break them down and fold them down, we could. So I'm still undecided on that cross brace, but we'll wait till these dry. We'll put them all together, and then we'll see what they think. So I'm gonna go have a quick bite to eat, and then by then they should be dry. We'll come back and hopefully we can finish this video off. Well, here it is, all put together, all finished up. What a great build this was. It turned out way better than I had actually ever thought or intended. So we can adjust our top. We have a couple different ways to adjust it. We've got some holes in the side so we can go up or down. We can adjust our angle on the front or the height, depending as to what height we want it. And they easily tighten back up. So this turned out really good. Oh, and remember I said I was going to make two? So here's the second one. These two are the two that we made the video doing it all up. They took me about 3 days to make, and I think I ended up with, what, 6 versions of the top, 4 versions of the front, and I think 2 or 3 versions of the base. So yeah, these two took me about 3 days to make, but all good things can't stop there. There's the third one. And believe it or not, once I had everything all figured out, that only took me about an hour to make. So I'm going to send 2 of these off. I'm going to send 2 of them off because I really enjoy all the YouTube videos that people put out there. And I understand the time it takes for editing and filming and making them all. So there's 2 people out there. So one's helped me a whole bunch through all of this and kind of kept my inspiration and stuff going. And then I watched another video on one family that does beekeeping and stuff like that. So I'm going to send one of these to that family, and the other one I'm going to send down to the individual that's helped me out, to get things to this point. So once again, thank you for following along. If you like my videos, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can follow along, and ring this bell so you'll get notifications when I upload some more videos. So until then, keep warm and happy beekeeping.